Hello, my name is Carlos Cuestas, and I am an associate at Kofferberg Center for the Arts at Queens College. I want to welcome everyone again to another episode of the Music Makers Alumni Concert Series that features graduates from the Aaron Copland School of Music at Queens College. As we enter the holiday season, I want to remind you of two upcoming live performances that will bring this year to a close. We're really excited about them. On Friday, December 3rd, we are happy to present Black Violin, an ensemble that merges string arrangements with modern beats and vocals, building bridges in communities along the way. On Sunday, December the 19th, we close our calendar year with the Queen's Symphony Orchestra presenting the glorious sound of the season, a free afternoon concert of holiday and seasonal favorites. Finally, keep an eye on our online and live programming for next year at www.kupferbergcenter.org. The Music Makers Alumni Series and all of our 2021-22 programming is proudly brought to you by our lead sponsor, the New York Community Bank, with additional support from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs and the Max and Selma Kupferberg Family Foundation. We thank our sponsors, and we want to thank you for being here. Today, we bring you Aaron Copland School of Music graduate Ali Bello. A Venezuelan national, Ali is one of the most sought-after violinists in New York, distinguishing himself for his versatility among different music styles, well-founded classical training, and improvisational skills. Since his search from El Sistema, the musical education program of Venezuela, and after building upon years of experience in New York, he has become a Latin jazz music figure to be reckoned with. We can't wait for tonight's program. So remember, after this show, Ali will be taking questions from the audience, so stay tuned and feel free to ask them on the comment section of our YouTube page. Again, just remember to visit our website, www.kupferbergcenter.org, or our social media channels to learn about our 2022 spring programming, featuring a live concert in February with, wait for it, acclaimed salsa singer Victor Manuel. So we want to thank you for joining us, and please let's welcome Ali Bello to our studio.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Carlos, for the presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and to the Kuffelberger Centers of the Arts for having me.
Of course. It's a real pleasure. We're very excited to bring back the Music Makers Concert Series. And, right before we go into your performance, I just wanted to give you a chance to say hi to the audience and just tell us a little bit of how excited you are to going back to your roots, as it were.
Certainly. In this concert, we're trying to feature mostly the music of my new album, The Inheritance, which is it came out it was released in May of this year, and it was a tough year, pandemic and everything. So to release music and to release new work, and the Sweetwire Band is a project that I've been working on for a few years, and I hope people enjoy the music as much as we did it doing this concert. So please enjoy. Hello and welcome to another presentation of the Music Makers Concert Series. My name is Ali Bello, and I'm a Queens College alumnus at the Aaron Copland School of Music. The following program is featuring music from my latest album, Inheritance, which was composed and arranged for my Latin jazz quintet, the Sweetwire Band. My music tries to create a new perspective of Latin jazz by fusing the music of my native country, Venezuela, music from the Caribbean, and the Latin jazz of New York. I hope you like the blend. Thank you to the Kuffelberger Centers of the Arts and Queens College for making possible this presentation. And please, don't forget to stay for the Q&A after the concert. Enjoy.
All right, thank you very much. I'll speak really quickly, not much. I just want to get a little bit of light of what you're hearing is that kind of a percussion from the north central area of Venezuela, and these are called kitty plas. You do a drum set of bamboos to do a folkloric music, but to use that flavor of the different drummings into the fusion that the music that I write. So that song was called Amare, and a composition of mine. All compositions today were going to be a composition of mine. And this next second song is called Harvey. And I dedicate this to my son when I heard, the first time I heard the sonogram, echo sonogram, or the heart ultrasound, one of those, of the heartbeat of your son. And I came out with this music. So this is Harvey. Great. I was. I mean, I hope the music conveys that, but I was trying to like when I imagine like one or the mother trying to hearing colors and hearing sounds. So that's kind of the idea. I hope that I didn't want to do the explanation, but sometimes you got that vision in your head. But that was Heartbeat. Um, this next song, Caracas, that's the city most of us grew up with. I think we're all from Venezuela, and we live in Caracas. And I always remember as a little boy in the 80s and 90s, growing into a beautiful city. Has been, for political, economic reasons, changed, but this is the image that I always have of that great city. And so this is my tribute to the city we grew up. So Caracas, Venezuela. This is in the form of Onda Nueva. And Onda Nueva is kind of was the version of the 60s of what the jazz world was coming up about. So we trying to incorporate those sounds into the maracas, harp, and the cuatro, which is over the Venezuela. So this is the is Onda Nueva is the style of jazz that we interpret from the jazz of the north. So this was how we played in the south in the 60s. Thank you very much. That was called Caracas. This next song is before bachata, before some of the Latin American music that have bombarded us with, merengue and not Dominican, but everywhere. The style king of the Latin America was the bolero, the romantic song, the complement of the ballad in the United States. So I want to do a tribute to, the bolero in his form. So this score is called Son tu Marina, and um, it's gonna be it's in the new album. Check it out.
Ali. Wow, where to begin? Massive congratulations. That sounded incredible. Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you. Appreciate it. That was fast. I mean, it's one thing to play live, and another thing just being watching you yourself. It goes faster when you're watching. But yeah, it was definitely fun. It's such a beautiful hall, Le Frac Hall, and the guys were psyched to play there. We were psyched to play there. Especially, I'm very connected to Queens College. I went to school there, obviously. Well, that's what we do in the music maker. But I live very close by. I live in Middle Village, so basically 10, 15 minutes. And my kids go to preschool, pre college in on Saturday, so I usually go like at least once a week or something like that. Not all the time, but I'm very connected, and always the teachers there I know, Professor Smolton and
Mm.
everybody else, and a lot of friends. So it was very special to play back after the pandemic in the frac hall and in such a beautiful hall.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. So I want to take a second and invite our audience members to participate in this conversation. Thoroughly interactive. If you are curious about how the maracas are played, or the capachos as they call it down south, you are welcome to ask that question. Not that we can help it, but Ali can try to explain what's happening. Or if you want to comment about Ali's performance, or ask him a question that is, what we're here for, and I would love to bring some of those comments up. So, as a way of starting, though, Ali, before we even go into some of the prepared questions that I have for you, I think it would be nice for you to tell the audience, however briefly, a little bit about yourself, like your story, right? Like you grew up in Venezuela, you grew up in Caracas, as you mentioned in the video. So, if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit of your trajectory as a musician, of your little bit of your bio, and how music has sort of like helped you pave the way to become a force to be reckoned with in New York City as a violinist.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, yes, as you said, I'm from Venezuela. I grew up in the city of Caracas, in the capital, and I'm a product of El Sistema. For those who know the famous name of El Sistema, it's just the system of youth orchestras of Venezuela. I grew up under the tutelage of Jose Antonio Abreu, El Núcleo en la Rinconada, and that's how I started music. I went to kindergarten, and after the kindergarten, our after school program was the music school, the Núcleo el Sistema, the conservatory, and that's how I started music from a very young age. I started violin basically when I was 6, 7 years old. And we have orchestras and music training all throughout the week, and that's how I fell in love with music. It was a really an after school program that you start doing it for so long that it just becomes part of yourself. So music was always in my mind. It was a little kid. I mean, it was no doubt that I'll try to be a musician, and the first chance I had from when I finished high school was to come to America and just to study, continue my education, and did my undergrad and my graduate program, my graduate music education here. So that's how that's how I became a musician. It was also a blessed to be in New York, because then I started doing all the kinds of music, not just classical, but I discovered that I like other types of music. I was purely
Mhm.
classical when I came to the United States, but I realized that the world is bigger than that, and opened the doors for Latin music, charanga, salsa,
Mm.
jazz, Venezuelan music. I also started exploring my own music in a way that I wasn't looking at it before, because I
Mhm.
was always, in the classical world, you kind of have all this way of training, and I
Yeah.
kind of your own music. Sometimes you left it out. No, we'll get to that. And being here and being that, well, this is what makes me unique. The way my music uh, played through me, and that's how I started exploring, and that's how this Sweetwater band and my music for this, especially this album, came through.
That's wonderful, and we're going to talk about more your music in a second. But our questions are starting to come in from the audience. So our good friend John is asking, was that the first time your group played live since the pandemic? So did we break ground with you guys here, or how was that?
Well, yeah, I got to say we had few concerts streamed for the public library, the Queens Public Library. We had a concert for We had another concert. So for the band itself to play live in a stage after the pandemic, yes, that was a big concert for us in the sense of we've been playing, but not like, okay, let's do a concert for a center of the art. That was a good opportunity. Again, we kept active and we played, in different groups, or we did play trios or something like that. But it wasn't like a big concert. So this was the big one after the pandemic for sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, and what a treat! What a treat! I caught a little bit of it when you played it, and that was incredible.
It's true.
Our friend Margaret Chrysostomo is asking a very cool question, and I think it's worth our attention. Margaret asks, "Why did you start to play music?" So sort of like going back to the biographical sort of
Yeah, no,
part
I
of your
mean, I
upbringing.
think I touched it a little bit, but it wasn't. I didn't choose it. Like I said, I was in kindergarten, and the music school was the after school program, and my parents work until 5, so it was just the after school, finish, and we walked to the music conservatory, and just to start music lessons. Start with the little flute, the recorder, and the xylophones, and then it kind of just it grows into big ensembles and orchestras and stuff like that. So I think in many ways the music chose me, but I gladly received it and embrace it as much as I could.
And again, what a treat to experience all of this. And as we were talking about New York, like we're really sort of lucky, for lack of a better term, that I can think of right now, to be able to experience as audiences the growth of musicians such as yourself. Like the expectations when you go to a concert hall, and when you see somebody walking those steps as you have walked, and sort of like without even knowing that we're witnessing a personal growth, a musical growth. Dare I say, I mean, an immigrant story. It's really quite humbling for audiences. So we want to thank you for that. Our friends at Radio Jarocho asks, can Ali talk about the percussion in his ensemble? He gives it a pretty big role in his compositions. What was the inspiration? What's the inspiration?
Sure. I mean, my inspiration, especially, you saw a couple instruments from my folklore, the folklore from Venezuela, which the opening movement, the opening song was a kitty plat, which was bamboo drummings, bamboo cut into different lengths and width. So they create a sound, and the way the percussion creates a matrix of percussion. So it's a very distinctive groove. You also saw in another song, well, you saw the maracas. In this song, we only used 5 songs, so I tried to, because I know the concert live was a little longer. So the maracas is also very traditional, especially in the rhythm of joropo and the 6/8. And the inspiration was not trying to create music, but trying to bring the different elements that to create a particular sound and a particular a composition in all 5 compositions that again is my music. It's just trying to see it through my eyes and create new music, not really trying to create folklore or necessarily a style in his own, but use the different rhythms and the different grooves to create my own music as a base for it. And take it from there. Especially a lot of influence from obviously jazz, not South American music, other rhythms from the Caribbean and North America.
Yeah, I mean, what a breadth of music that we experienced as well, from the Caribbean to Venezuela, and sort of like exploring, and not only Venezuela as a whole, like only Joropo, right? Like you were definitely digging into some of the other regions. And before I bring Evan's question, I want to let you know that you have a fan now. So our friend John says, for my 5-year-old, please tell him that that was beautiful music. I don't know if you have
Oh,
any message for John's 5-year-old.
thank you. I appreciate it. I have a 5-year-old, so I know sometimes when they see something they haven't seen before. I think that's why we create music, and especially we're trying to create new music, is just trying to create that moment where just if one person, that 5-year-old, just made my day right now, because if you heard it and he liked it, it's kind of it's eye opening. It's for all of us, not just my music, but I'm talking about everything, especially in the arts.
that spark of creativity that you see in somebody else, can spark something on you. And I'm glad that he likes it. And we make music, and we make art for them. This is what it is. We make it for us to grow, but for them to listen and enjoy. So I'm glad.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's very well said. Very well said, Ali. So let's, on that sort of like playful spirit, let's bring Evan's question. Evan Rossi asks, "Do you and your siblings have violin battles?" And I hope it's not just like hitting each other with it, right? Like,
Yeah, no, we definitely do have battles, and we do hit each other. It's not nice. It's not nice. We got little tiny violins. It's tough. I gotta say, this one be one of my biggest challenges to be, father and music teacher, because it doesn't kind of always works. And those who are fathers and music teachers, they know what I'm talking about. It kind of just it becomes you are the father, so we either playing or that middle age, so they never listen to me. If I put a teacher in front of them, they react nicely and they do whatever. But if I tell them to do something, it's like whatever. It's just kind of like it works out. But they're very good. They're very talented. They got a lot of rhythm. My oldest, he plays piano. And she basically talking about my siblings. So I have my sister. She plays violin. And she lives in Brazil, and she's in the symphony orchestra of Belo Horizonte. It happens to be that nobody in the family was a musician, but like I said, we had an after school program. So my sister and I, after we finished school, we just went to the conservatory. So it kind of like, it wasn't imposed on us. It just music just came to us and involved us in a way that we just kind of, it was impossible not to be a musician after all that training, especially those who knows the Sistema. We'll have orchestra rehearsals every day. The conservatory works in a way that you have music lessons a couple times a week. You have theory lessons, and you have orchestras every day. So we're constantly doing ensembles and music throughout the week. It's not just once a week, but the program is very involving. So it kind of, and also our systems works as a community in the sense of that it was directed, controlled, and managed by our parents. My parents, all the friends' parents, they and that's what makes the system. And I think that what makes it work in Venezuela was a community movement in which everybody was protected in the music program through the parents. They didn't want us to be hanging in the wrong places or doing the wrong thing, and they knew like music was a way to do creativity work without having protected with the community. And that's how we grew up. I still communicate with all my friends that I grew up with, and siblings and friends, we still communicate. And like I said, no musicians in the family, but that's how we grew up to be musicians.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, that's and that actually complements Margaret's question in a way, right? Like that's sort of like the reason why. So we have our own reasons to play music, but we also have the reasons our parents are like being wiser than us, sort of like the way they manage our upbringing. Ali, I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap up. But this being sort of a Queen's College, music concert series, but also like a highlight for our alums. I want you to talk about, if you can, of how did Queen's College impact your career, and in which ways it sort of like helped you become the artist you are now.
Oh, sure. Just to make a quick story, how I ended up in Queen's College, which is a very, I think it's a great story. I don't know, somebody else don't know. But Margaret Pardee, which was one of the great teachers, she passed away a few years ago, of the New York area. She's from the school of Ivan Galamian, and there were the three teachers at the time. We're talking about 70s, 80s. Margaret Pardee, Dorothy DeLay, Sally Thomas. They have the movement of especially violin training, especially in New York. And she comes to Venezuela at least once a year or twice a year, and she gave master classes. I was finished my high school, and I had a master class with her, and it was kind of like, I asked her, like, if I come to New York, will you accept me in your music studio? And she said yes. You just have to get there yourself there. And basically that's what I did. I turned 17, 18. I really have money for like 6 months, really. And I just, I told my parents, I just gonna go to New York. I was the time where you could do that, I guess, in the 90s. And I came, and so she opened the doors for me. And as how I came to, she was a teacher in Juilliard and Queens College. And, since I was new and I needed to better my English and do all the different things just to get to the level of my English and the university level. I just finished high school or was finishing that semester. So I went to Queens College because it was accessible. It was not as expensive, and you have all the things that I need between the TOEFL tests and passing and then English and the training. So it was great. I mean, Queens College opened the doors for me in a way that many other universities would not be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Or did not have that dynamic to do it. They welcome foreign students. They were basically without that facility to come to United States for start my music career and my studies through Queens College. It probably would have been a lot harder. I wouldn't say impossible, but a lot harder. So it definitely changed my life because after that, then I was able to stay here, graduate, and now make a career. And years later, I live in New York. I'm part of the music scene. I have my family, and I live like 10 minutes from Queens College. So it's definitely a life transformation, being in Queens College and getting a great education that, Queens College is definitely one of the, and I'm not saying that because I'm a couple burger or because, this is through Queens College or we went there, but it's really a hidden gem within the music systems and the music schools in the United States. By far, they got great teachers, they got a great community, and it's definitely one of the best schools that you never heard about it. No, you never heard about it. That I will take that way. You heard about it, but that is not in the radar. Like we'll say, Juilliard or Manhattan School of Music, or all the big ones that Queens College is just at the same level of education and training.
Yeah, and it's so heartwarming to hear you say that because the State University of New York, that's the whole mission, that's the reason for its existence, right? To offer pathways to those for whom higher education was not part of the plan, as it were, right? Like to facilitate those paths and to help people of sort of like lower income and of immigrant backgrounds to plow their way through this system. So thank you so much for doing us proud, as our social media manager says in the chat. And then the last question I have for you, and again, if the audience has any more comments, any more cheers, any more questions, please do bring them on. But I do want to ask you sort of like a question that if you could look back at, what advice would you give to yourself? So the question would be like, what advice indeed would you give to your undergraduate self at Queens College? Not like Ali from high school, like the undergraduate level, Ali.
Yeah, no, it's a great question because there's many things that you discover in your education and your career, but it's after you went through the years of education. And the main thing I will say, the main the thing that I always strike me the most was that music education has changed a lot in the past years, and now we have it's such an open to technology, to from recording studios to you can have a recording studio at home, to internet, or interacting with other people, and in the area of doing all kinds of music, not just the music that you were trained for, but not just classical, but you can do Latin American music, jazz, world music. There's always at your hand. It's easy to do it in New York because you have the musicians to do it. You have all the palettes around to go to different places and see different all kinds of music. But to the undergrad, I will say, do not stay close-minded to new music, to new technology, to different ways to do what you think you have to do things. And I say that because classical music, no matter how you looked at it, but is it's a style of in tradition. It's based on tradition. You have the traditions of the technique of the instrument. You have the tradition of the music. Like, you study Bach, you study Beethoven, you study Brahms, and you study, contemporary music. So it's kind of like a line that you start from the beginning of music until now. And sometimes we get obtuse into the new music, how people do things, and how from DJs to technology to recording studios. And I will say, do not, and I think this is a new thinking of the schooling of music, is that do not be so close-minded as to think that music is just to play your instrument and play it well. It's many things. You can be a musician in many different levels, in many different ways, from creating, producing, composing it, arranging it. It's a vast gamut of music jobs and lifestyles that you can have, that it doesn't just involve to learn your instrument. I mean, that's just part of it. And I think that will be the biggest thing I will say. It's not just, I'm going to play violin, I'll be a singer. No, be a musician, be involved in every single aspect, from music publicity to engagements to concert series planning to all kinds. And it is really very, once you get into all different levels of that expand, that music becomes, that music business has becomes globally, it's very satisfying, because you're handling different aspects of something that you really love, and you can handle yourself in this business music life that it is tough. I mean, let's be honest, music is tough to go out there and make a living. So to the undergraduates, be open-minded and grasp as many aspects of music as you can.
That is great advice. That is great advice. Very sage words from you, Ali. So we thank you very much. So, just to wrap up, would you mind telling us where can we learn about your future projects, future gigs that you may have in the city, and we can catch a live set or something?
Sure. Well, I'm always live on I try to be as much in my website, which is alibello.com, ALIBELLO.com, and that's always, I try to keep it updated on my scheduling, all the different bands and different projects that I work with. I'm always active also in Instagram with the hashtag alibello music. I think I'm looking at it right there. Perfect timing. And also in Twitter, alibello music, alibello music too, and or in Facebook, of course, and alibello violin. You can always see me. So I'm in those, usually the all major platforms, social media. I'm active, and please, check it out. The new album is called Inheritance. It was taking in Tiger Turns label, and it's you heard 4 or 5 songs of the new album. We have 9 albums on this track, and I think many people, if you like these 4, you're gonna like the other 5 tracks that are in there. Obviously, we couldn't play them all in one concert, but I think you'll like it.
Thank you so much, Ali. And for those of you at home, if you are interested in our programming, both to close the year, this calendar year, with our holiday concert and Black Violin coming on this Friday, and anything else we will be up to for the next spring semester, please check us out at www.kopferbercenter.org, and you can find out about all our programming. So, Ali, thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. And I just want to take a minute just to thank Teresa. The back of the camera, you don't see her, but she was a main force on making this concert possible. And the Kopferberger Center for the Arts for having me, Queens College and the Lefrak Concert Hall for having me and having this concert. It was a pleasure. I hope it repeats, and I hope to keep seeing many concerts for a Music Maker series, and it's a great series, and I couldn't be more proud to be here and be part of it. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.